MKUltra was the secret CIA crash program to develop techniques to control the human mind. By the end of the Korean War, 70% of the 7,000 U.S. prisoners of war had signed confessions, 15% cooperated fully, and only 5% steadfastly refused confession or indoctrination. Professors Wolf and Henkel submitted a secret report to Director of Central Intelligence Alan Dulles about communist methods of brainwashing that was the definitive work on the subject in 1953. It stated that no drugs or machines were used. Intense psychological pressure and human weakness were the key, beginning with solitary confinement. Guards constantly reminded the prisoner that he was totally cut off from outside support, ordered him to stand for long periods, dictated the positions allowed for sleep, waking him if he moved while sleeping, banned all outside stimuli such as books, conversation, or news of the outside world. After 4 to 6 weeks, the prisoner would break down. Quote, "He weeps, he mutters, and prays aloud in his cell." At this stage, the interrogation began in a special room. The guard told him that he knew his own crimes all too well. The prisoner is in the position of trying to prove his innocence to he knew not what. The interrogator and the prisoner bond in their shared ransacking of the captive's soul. As the interrogation proceeded, the prisoner realized that he could only end his ordeal with a full confession. Quote, "The prisoner feels that something must be done to end this. He must find a way out." According to a KGB man, more than 99% of prisoners sign a confession at this stage. Then the subject was either shot or sent to a labor camp after sentencing. Chinese techniques would move on to re-education of prisoners by moving them into a group cell for political indoctrination, incessant study of Marx and Mao, lectures, and self-criticism led to political conversion by group pressure. Prisoners demonstrated their commitment by ferociously attacking any deviations. Constant intimacy with prisoners who reviled him for his resistance pushed the prisoner beyond his emotional endurance. As the prisoner conformed, his cellmates gave increased acceptance and esteem, which reinforced his commitment to the party, for he learned that only his acceptance allowed him to live successfully in the cell. In contrast, the American mind control effort was a mini-Manhattan project, with the conviction that the keys to brainwashing lay in technology. The agency's brainwashing experts gravitated to people in the mold of the brilliant and sometimes mad scientists, obsessed by the wonders of the brain. In 1953, CIA officer Richard Helms chose Dr. Sidney Gottlieb to run the technical service staff. The TSS, through the Office of Research and Development, was given the job of developing poisons to assassinate political opponents, truth serum drugs for interrogating spies, and hypnotic techniques to create unwitting double agents, couriers, and robot assassins. Dr. Gottlieb used Nazi scientists and their state-of-the-art mind control techniques that had been perfected in concentration camps using victims of the Holocaust. General Dwight D. Eisenhower gave his personal approval to exploit the work and research of the Nazis in the death camps. The German doctors were brought to the U.S. and went to work for Project Paperclip. These men were insulated against war crimes charges. The Nuremberg prosecutors were shocked that the U.S. authorities were using German doctors despite their criminal past. Under the leadership of Dr. Strughold, 34 scientists accepted contracts from Project Paperclip and were moved to Randolph Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas. These personalities began to work on human radiation studies, aviation medicine, microwave technology, and MKUltra mind control experiments. The authorization to hire these Nazi scientists came directly from the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The top military brass stated that they wished to exploit these rare minds. Operation Paperclip eventually recruited 9,000 Nazi scientists and technicians to help the U.S. destroy the USSR. Some of these scientists were known as programmers, people skilled in the art of breaking down and controlling the human mind. Dr. Joseph Mengele and others experimented extensively with children and adults using mescaline, electroshock therapy, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, torture, rape, starvation, and trauma bonding in an effort to control the human mind. Dr. Mengele was so successful using the technique of trauma bonding that survivors today still exhibit a profound affection for their torturer, referring to Mengele as Beautiful Joseph. Dr. L. Wilson Green was a Jewish doctor who the Nazis coerced to participate in their experiments at Auschwitz. This individual, whose code name was Dr. Green, came to the U.S. after World War II and began to experiment on adults and children for the military and CIA. The military and CIA copied the Nazi methodology and began numerous programs of their own. The first CIA program was known as MK-Ultra. The MK is an abbreviation for the German words for mind control. By 1953, the CIA, U.S. Navy, and U.S. Army Chemical Corps were conducting their own narco-hypnosis programs on prisoners, mental patients, foreigners, ethnic minorities, and those classified as sexual deviants. To avoid confusion, the dozens of mind control operations will be referred to generically as MK-Ultra. According to MK-Ultra documents and sources, the methodology of mind control works best when severe trauma is administered by the age of 3 years old. Severe trauma, such as rape, applied at the age of 3, will cause the personality to split or dissociate in an attempt to shield the mind from memories of events too painful to endure. The psychiatric terms are multiple personality disorder or dissociative identity disorder, and can be produced accidentally or purposefully. The Three Faces of Eve is the true story of multiple personality disorder created by childhood abuse. Psychic trauma and creation of multiple personalities was eventually codified by programmers into a standard methodology and is typically accomplished by forcing children to observe and participate in the ritual sacrifice of animals and humans, and inducing further psychic trauma by the means of rape and other horrors. The trauma causes the dissociation. This functions much like the partitioning of a hard drive in a computer. The dissociative state is used as an opening to hypnotically induce an alternate shell personality. The programmer will use hypnosis and triggers to call forth the created personality, known as an alter personality. Only 20% of the general population is easily hypnotizable, but trauma at an early age makes people vulnerable to dissociation and thus easily hypnotizable. Typically, the programmer might wear a costume, such as a rabbit suit, and sacrifice a rabbit in front of the child victims before they are physically traumatized. The image of the rabbit, a phrase from Alice in Wonderland, or similar paired images are used as the triggers to call forth the alter personality. The method works best when the trauma is repeated around 6 years of age. A few years later, the child victim's IQ test and personality test are evaluated to determine whether the child may be trained in assassination, sexual blackmail, drug courier, or other role. The subject can be hypnotized and used for operations, but would only be consciously aware of the sense of lost time. Dr. Sidney Gottlieb employed these early programmers and concentrated on the use of LSD for mind control and exotic poisons and drugs for political assassinations. He personally gave LSD to an unknowing fellow scientist, Dr. Frank Olson, who worked for the Army Chemical Corps Special Operations Division at Fort Detrick. His job was developing biological weapons. Dr. Olson committed suicide by jumping through the window of a 10th-floor hotel. Dr. Gottlieb concealed his actions, and the Olson family was unaware of the cause of his suicide until 27 years later, when the facts emerged during a congressional hearing on CIA abuses. The link between Gottlieb and Olson illustrates how the different elements of biological and chemical weapons, radiation testing, and MKUltra were all intertwined. Dr. Ewan Cameron was president of the American and Canadian Psychiatric Associations. He ran the Allen Memorial Institute, which was founded in 1943 with funds from the Rockefeller Foundation. Nazi paperclip scientists made their way into the CIA and military-sponsored mind control programs here in the United States and Canada. Some of these scientists were friends of Dr. Cameron. Money for Cameron's operation came from the CIA and was funneled through the Cornell Society for the Investigation of Human Ecology. The systematic annihilation or depatterning of a subject's mind and memory was accomplished with overdoses of LSD, barbiturate sleep for 65 days at a time, and electroshock therapy at 75 times the recommended dosage. Psychic driving, the repetition of a recorded message for 24 hours a day, programmed the emptied mind. The Canadian government settled a class action lawsuit by 250 former patients of Dr. Cameron decades later, but no person or institution has ever been disciplined or punished for these activities. Linda MacDonald was 25 years old in 1963 when Dr. Cameron treated her for mild postpartum depression. She received 102 electroshock therapy treatments, 80 days of drug-induced sleep, and emerged completely depatterned, essentially like a newborn, totally incontinent, unable to state her name or recognize her husband and children. She had to relearn how to drive, cook, read, and use a toilet. Eventually, unlike many of the patients of Dr. Cameron, she made a complete recovery. Cameron was the premier psychiatrist of the 20th century. He had studied Nazi scientists at the Nuremberg trials and later replicated many of their methods and sought their assistance in the race to control the human mind. Cameron's mind control experiments were one program out of many run by the CIA, Navy, Air Force, Army, and others. Although many parallel operations were occurring in the U.S., none of them was ever discovered or prosecuted. These programs were run by men of the likes of Morse Allen, Dr. L. Wilson Green, Dr. Martin Orne, Dr. Stephen Aldrich, Dr. James Hamilton. These and other American and foreign-born programmers were supervised by Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, who was in turn supervised by Richard Helms and Alan Dulles, the director of the Central Intelligence Agency.
I was tired, I was depressed, my back was hurting, and so he said to the children's father, why don't you go to Montreal and visit this Dr. Ewan Cameron, this famous man who has all of these accolades, and have an assessment. So we went. My medical file even says that I took my guitar with me. And that was the end of my life. Within 3 weeks, Dr. Cameron decided to call me an acute schizophrenic and ship me up to the sleep room. I was in a coma for 86 days.
86 days of unbroken sleep.
Yeah. Total comatose state. I had to be toilet trained. I was a vegetable. I had no identity. I had no memory. I'd never existed in the world before. Like a baby. Just like a baby that has to be toilet trained. Pictures, and I know who that is, who they are, but I don't remember them as my children at all. I mean, I know that they came from my body, but there's no, that's all. I don't know, and that's because I was told that. So these are my children.
Linda McDonald would hound the federal government for 4 years before finally in 1992, Ottawa grudgingly agreed to compensate her and some of Dr. Cameron's other victims $100,000 each.
Richard Helms ran the Dirty Tricks Department after the Bay of Pigs and became Director of Central Intelligence in 1966. He destroyed the archive on MKUltra when he left in 1972 and successfully covered up the crimes of MKUltra. Helms was a product of the Eastern Establishment. His grandfather was President of the Federal Reserve. Helms, like Gottlieb, was a Machiavellian character who used paperclip scientists and would stop at nothing to win. He advocated low-intensity warfare, transmitting strategic subliminal messages to the brains of enemy populations and the use of high frequencies to affect memory and the unconscious mind. In 1964, he wrote a memo to the Warren Commission where he mentions biological radio communication. Quote, cybernetics can be used in molding of a child's character, the inculcation of knowledge and techniques, the amassing of experience, the establishment of social behavior patterns, all functions which can be summarized as control of the growth processes of the individual. In 1953, MKUltra relied on LSD, but by the 1960s the emphasis had changed to biological radio communication. MKUltra had 149 subprojects that encompassed nearly every aspect of human behavior and social science. In the 1977 Senate hearings, former CIA Director Admiral Stansfield Turner stated that the program took place at 80 institutions, including 44 universities, 15 private companies, 12 hospitals, and 3 prisons. MKUltra Subproject 119 was the foundation of all non-lethal weapons programs currently active and included a summary of 5 areas, one of which is entitled Techniques of Activation of the Human Organism by Remote Electronic Means. This memo was dated August 17, 1960, and when viewed with other evidence that was not destroyed, shows significant interest in radio frequency weapons and direct control of human behavior at a distance. By 1960, the CIA dropped emphasis on the use of LSD in favor of electronic influence. This aspect of the research is where the greatest modern emphasis has been, rather than chemical or biological agents, both of which violate existing treaties and leave physical traces. Dr. Stephen Aldrich took control of the Office of Research and Development in 1962 from Dr. Sidney Gottlieb. Aldrich started Operation Often, an investigation into the occult with the help of Houston sorceress Sybil Leek. CIA behaviorists carefully studied every aspect of the occult underground. The Scientific Engineering Institute, SEI, was a CIA cutout that had been set up in 1956 to study radar. In 1962, SEI set up a lab to study the effects of electrodes deep in the brain. In 1972, SEI also sponsored a course at the University of South Carolina in rituals of demonology and voodoo. Dr. Aldrich was an MKUltra programmer who focused on remote brain manipulation and the occult, the twin threads that run through SEI Corporation. In 1962, a CIA manual focused on radiohypnotic intracerebral control, RHIC, which was developed by the Pentagon. Quote, when a part of your brain receives a tiny electrical impulse from outside sources, such as vision, hearing, etc., an emotion is produced. Anger at the sight of a gang of boys beating an old woman, for example. The same emotions of anger can be created by artificial radio signals sent to your brain by a controller. You could instantly feel the same white-hot anger without any apparent reason, unquote. Another term, electronic dissolution of memory, EDOM, refers to the ability to erase memory at a distance.
I'm Chris DiNicola, born July of 1962, rendering me 32 years of age. I was a subject in radiation as well as mind control and drug experiments performed by a man I knew as Dr. Green. I was a subject from 1966 to 1976. Dr. Green performed radiation experiments on me in 1970, focusing on my neck, throat, and chest, 1972 focusing on my chest and my uterus in 1975. Each time I became dizzy, nauseous, and threw up. All these experiments were performed on me in conjunction with mind control techniques and drugs in Tucson, Arizona. Dr. Green was using me mostly as a mind control subject from 1966 to 1973. His objective was to gain control of my mind and train me to be a spy assassin. I was in what looked like a laboratory, and there seemed to be other children. I was strapped down, naked, spread eagle, on a table, on my back. Dr. Green had electrodes on my body, including my head. He used what looked like an overhead projector and repeatedly said he was burning different images into my brain while a red light flashed aimed at my forehead. In between each sequence, he used electric shock on my body and told me to go deeper and deeper, while repeating each image would go deeper into my brain, and I would do whatever he told me to do. I felt drugged because he had given me a shot before he started the procedure. When it was over, he gave me another shot. The next thing I remember, I was with my grandparents again in Tucson, Arizona. I was 4 years old. You can see from this experiment that Dr. Green used trauma, drugs, post-hypnotic suggestion, and more trauma in an effort to gain total control of my mind. He used me in radiation experiments both for the purposes of determining the effects of radiation on various parts of my body and to terrorize me as an additional trauma in the mind control experiments. The rest of the experiments took place in Tucson, Arizona, out in the desert. I was taught how to pick locks, be secretive, use my photographic memory, and a technique to withhold information by repeating numbers to myself. Dr. Green moved on to wanting me to kill dolls that looked like real children. I stabbed a doll with a spear once after being severely traumatized, but the next time I refused. He used many pain induction techniques, but as I got older, I resisted more and more. He often tied me down in a cage, which was near his office. Between 1972 and 1976, he and his assistants were sometimes careless and left the cage unlocked. Whenever physically possible, I snuck into his office and found files with reports and memos addressed to CIA and military personnel. Included in these files were project, sub-project, subject, and experiment names with some code numbers for radiation and mind control experiments, which I have submitted in your written documentation. I was caught twice, and Dr. Green ruthlessly used electric shock, drugs, spun me on a table, put shots in my stomach and my back, dislocated my joints, and hypnotic techniques to make me feel crazy and suicidal. Because of my rebellion and growing lack of cooperation, they gave up on me as a spy assassin. Consequently, the last 2 years, 1974 to 1976, Dr. Green used various mind control techniques to reverse the spy assassin messages to self-destruct and death messages. His purpose? He wanted me dead, and I struggled to stay alive all of my adult life. I believe it is by the grace of God that I am still alive. These horrible experiments have profoundly affected my life. I developed multiple personality disorder because Dr. Green's goal was to split my mind into as many parts as possible so he could control me totally. He failed, but I've had to endure years of constant physical, mental, and emotional pain, even to this day.
Between the years of 1957 and 1984, I became a pawn in a government scheme. His ultimate goal was mind control and to create the perfect spy, all through the use of chemicals, radiation, drugs, hypnosis, electric shock, isolation in tubs of water, sleep deprivation, brainwashing, verbal, physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. I was exploited unwittingly for nearly 3 decades of my life, and the only explanations given to me were that, quote, the end justifies the means, and, quote, I was serving my country in their bold effort to fight communism. I can only summarize my circumstances by saying they took an already abused 7-year-old child and compounded my suffering beyond belief. The saddest part is, I know for a fact that I was not alone. There were countless other children in my same situation, and there was no one to help us until now. Dr. L. Wilson Green, who claimed to have received $50 million from the Edgewood Chemical and Radiology Laboratory as part of the TSD, or Technical Science Division of the CIA, once described to Dr. Charles Brown that, quote, children were used as subjects because they were more fun to work with and cheaper, too. They needed lower-profile subjects than soldiers or government people, so only young, willing females would do. Besides, he said, I like scaring them. They in the agency think I'm a god, creating subjects and experiments for whatever deviant purposes Sid and James can think up. Sid being Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, James, Dr. James Hamilton. In 1958, I was to be tested, they told me, by some important doctors from the society, the Human Ecology Society, and I was instructed to cooperate. I was told not to look at anyone's faces and try hard not to ignore any names, as this was a very secret project. But I was told to be brave, and all these things would help me forget. Naturally, as most children do, I did the opposite and remembered as much as I could. Dr. John Gittinger tested me, Dr. Cameron gave me the shocks, and Dr. Green the x-rays. Then I was told by Sid Gottlieb that, quote, I was right for the big A, or human artichoke. By the time I left to go home, just like every time from then on, I would remember only whatever explanations Dr. Robert G. Heath at Tulane Medical University gave me for the odd bruises, needle marks, burns on my head, fingers, and even the genital soreness. I had no reason to believe otherwise. They had already begun to control my mind. The next year, I was sent to a lodge in Maryland called Deep Creek Cabins to learn how to sexually please men. I was taught how to coerce them into talking about themselves, and it was Richard Helms, who was deputy director of the CIA, Dr. Gottlieb, Captain George White, Morris Allen, who all planned on filming as many high government agency officials and heads of academic institutions and foundations as possible, so that later when the funding for mind control and radiation started to dwindle, projects would continue. I was used to entrap many unwitting men, including themselves, all with the use of a hidden camera. I was only 9 years old when this sexual humiliation began. I overheard conversations about a part of the agency called ORD, which I found out was Office of Research and Development. It was run by Dr. Green, Dr. Stephen Aldrich, Martin Orne, and Morris Allen. Once a crude remark was made by Dr. Gottlieb about a certain possible leak over New Orleans East involving a large group of retarded children who are being given massive doses of radiation. He asked, why was Wilson so worried about a few retarded kids? After all, they would be the least likely to spill the beans. Another time, I heard Dr. Martin Orne, who was the director then of the scientific office and later the head of the Institute for Experimental Research, state that, quote, in order to keep more funding coming from different sources for radiation and mind control projects, he suggested stepping up the amounts of stressors used and also the blackmail portion of the experiments. He said it needed to be done faster than to get rid of the subjects, or they were asking for us to come back later and haunt them with our remembrances. I've already submitted as much information as possible, including conversations overheard of the people, agencies responsible. I'm able to report all this to you in such detail because of my photographic memory and the arrogance of the doctors, the arrogance of the people involved. They were certain they would always control my mind. Although the process of recalling these atrocities is not an easy one, nor is it without some danger to myself and my family, I feel the risk is worth taking.
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers!
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work. When you go to church. When you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
You can open your eyes. Close them.
You said open them.
Now close them. I wish you could go on the water slides. But you're pregnant. If your pregnancy, your heart's bad, if you have a broken bone or a back condition.
Say that again. Say it again.
I think I'm having some gas trouble.
Why aren't you pooting then, or does it hurt?
It hurts, and I need some gas poot stuff so I can poot it out.
He does.
Do you have some?
The clown needs some medicine.
In covertly recorded off-air transmissions from the Bush-Clinton presidential election campaign in the 1990s, we can see that Bill Clinton was nothing more than a puppet to the puppet masters which placed him in the White House. Bill Clinton's demeanor seems to be similar to a person who is under a hypnotic trance.
Remember that every single man, woman, and child in the state of South Carolina awakens to a freer, safer world because of George Bush. I would remind people that every single morning we all awaken to a safer, freer world because of George Bush. And Nicole, I would remind you and the people of Florence that all of us awaken every single day to a freer, safer world because of George Bush. They themselves awaken every single day to a freer, safer world because of George.
I'm sorry.
Wipe the drool.
I was in a trance.
Yeah, wipe the drool there.
I'm Savannah Guthrie, alongside Matt Lauer and Al Roker. Will someone do the junior high hug dance? It's like this. You gotta make it real awkward.
That's exactly how
you have to have a certain amount of distance between the bodies
exactly.
in junior high.
Yes, like they say in Catholic school, leave room for the Holy Ghost. Anyway, there is a lot of memories today, actually. It's a big day in music history.
35 years ago today, Elvis Presley passed away, the king of rock and roll. And as Mark Cohn says in his great song, Walking in Memphis, there's a pretty little thing waiting for the king down in the...
Just also, I want to find out about this situation with you have many, many different alter egos, right?
Oh, yes.
Roman is one, and then you have...
Roman is one, Barbie's one. She's like the little innocent girl. I have Martha, who's Roman's mother. She's like a crazy lady from London. And actually, she's gonna make her debut in the video that I just shot with Drake. It's for a song called "Moment for Life."
Mm-hmm.
So we just shot that video, and Martha, like you'll actually see Martha in the video. It's gonna be kind of weird.
Great! I can't wait to see her. All right, and it's good that he's with his mom. That Roman has his mom with him.
Yeah, I definitely have different personas and different attitudes. Psycho Serena. You don't want to meet her. She's on the court. She's at practice. And she's in the match, and she's awesome, and she's amazing. She's this great athlete. There's Summer. She helps me out a lot. Summer has a whole story. Summer has a whole story. Like if I have to write long letters, or if I have to do, different things, then Summer does it. She got married. Now she got divorced. She moved to England. Normally, when she talks to people on the phone, she just gets on the phone and she's like, "Hello, I'm Summer. How are you?" When I'm doing my fashion, I get into this whole fashion moment and this whole fashion thing, whether I'm on HSN or just the perfect jegging, and they go really, really well with the Today's Special. I'm thinking of designs where I'm drawing, or, I'm pulling out tears. And then the other girl that, the one that's really mean is Megan. Oh, no. She's extremely mischievous. You don't want to run to Megan. There's Taquanda. Whew. Taquanda is rough. She is not Christian. She's from the hood. She was at the U.S. Open in 2009.
A football, and that gives Kim Clijsters 2 match points. Serena Williams charges after the linesperson that made the call.
In that particular match that Taquanda played, first of all, I wasn't there, but I heard about it, and I ended up getting a lot of the backlash from it. Taquanda got loose.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in saluting tonight's SW24 Security Solutions Hero of the Game, Glenn Martin of New York City. As a longtime real estate executive for Christian & Wakefield, Glenn had the foresight years ago to know what Brooklyn could become, and he played an important role in the renaissance of our thriving world. In addition, Glenn was a key player in helping to found the team's future HSS Training Center, location in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. Glenn also gives back to the community as the founder of Brooklyn 1834, which provides a forum for the world's up-and-coming artists. Due to illness, Glenn could not be here tonight. Despite his illness,
this spasm of publicity about what happened from Mexico to London
was pretty rough. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Weird. Hello. Oh my goodness. Hello. Ew. Strong Brittany. Yeah, it was a weird time. Ew. I'm embarrassed. Can we stop this?
Hey, Lindsay. You look beautiful, Lindsay.
Why with Eric, Lindsay?
Lindsay, we love you, Lindsay. Yeah.
That's enough, man.
Paris.
I'm sorry, Lindsay, what did you say? The what? Lindsay, Paris is the what? What did you say a second ago about Paris? Hey, why is Paris we got you saying a second ago. Tell them Dirty Gates Entertainment. Paris is your friend. Lindsay loves Paris.
No, I love her.
No. Are you being sarcastic with me? Well, hey, you over there, I'll be on there. Good night. Bye. Good night, Lindsay.
Hey, take care, right?
Good night, Lindsay. Thank you. See you in a second.
In an Indian headdress, wearing a bikini, setting aerosol cans on fire. Whatever possessed you, Gaga?
Because it's art.
Yes.
It's about poker facing with your sexuality. When I was making love to my old boyfriend, I used to think about women sometimes.
Oh, good Lord. I'm sure he was delighted when you told him, because...
Yeah, it's a difficult title. It's a good day to die.
But I suppose it's because you had kind of a good day, and if you would have died, well, so be it. Is that it?
That's right. That's a good explanation. Have a sandwich, and let's go shopping.
Yeah.
Die hard.
That would have been at your chosen time.
Well, it's about, it makes about as much sense. A good, or maybe there is a good day to die hard.
Good afternoon. Please give your attention to my associate, Agent J. He's going to demonstrate an electro-biomechanical neural transmitting zero synapse repositioner. We call it the neuralizer. Keep it simple, Slade. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Agent K. Ladies and gentlemen, if you will, look right here.
I would say this is one of the creepiest places I've ever been in real life. This is known as Raven's Crag, but in modern times it's been named the Allen Memorial Institute. It's a psychiatric facility run out of McGill University that was funded originally by the Rockefeller Foundation. This is where Dr. Ewan Cameron carried out his experiments for MK Ultra Subproject 68 for the CIA, which included a lovely array of horrible things he did to people. Excessive electroshock therapy, giving them combinations of various drugs, including LSD and LSD with other drugs combined. And something he liked to call psychic driving, which is where he would record his therapy sessions with the patients and then play back bits of what they said to themselves up to 250,000 times. Things like, "My mother hates me," "I don't satisfy my husband." And that's before you even get into the fact that he had a radio telemetry lab in the basement. And who knows what he was doing. We'll never fully know entirely what he was doing to people down there. There's been speculation about sensory deprivation boxes near the stables out back. I think those things have either been taken out or knocked out. I didn't see anything back there, but everything around this place feels heavy. There's definite pressure, and it just feels bad. It's almost as if the weight of the negative things that have happened here is condensed somehow. It's a concentrated feeling of just, my whole body wants to leave.
Netflix released season 2 of their hit series, Stranger Things, just in time for Halloween. The show, of course, was an instant cult classic, creating millions of fans with its clever combination of an original sci-fi/horror plotline with engaging and well-developed characters and a heavy dose of 80s nostalgia. But just how original are the concepts and themes of this mega-hit series? How much of it all is actually limited to the realm of science fiction and fantasy in the first place? The channel ODD TV made an excellent video in 2016 explaining how the facility featured in Stranger Things, where the children were experimented on using trauma-based mind control techniques and sensory deprivation chambers, is a surprisingly accurate depiction of what really did occur under the Montauk Project.
The Montauk Project. The Montauk Project was a series of secret United States government projects conducted at Camp Hero and/or Montauk Air Force Station on Montauk, Long Island. It was secretly developing a powerful psychological war weapon. The Montauk Project is a continuation of the controversial Philadelphia experiment, which took place around October 28, 1943. A report was prepared and presented to Congress and was soundly rejected as far too dangerous. So a proposal was made directly to the Department of Defense promising a powerful new weapon that can drive an enemy insane, inducing the symptoms of schizophrenia at the touch of a button. Without congressional approval, the project would have to be top secret and secretly funded. The Department of Defense approved. The U.S. Air Force had a decommissioned base at Montauk, New York, not far from Brookhaven, which had a complete SAGE radar installation. This site was large and remote, and water access would allow equipment to be moved in and out undetected.
One thing they loved to do was drown you, hold you underwater to the point where you were about to give up.
They wanted to split the mind. They wanted to shatter the mind. Then they would program each individual piece for something else.
But what was the intention on the beatings and the drownings? That must have...
That was to shatter the mind even further.
So they can manipulate it?
Yes, they can manipulate it.
Breaking the psyche of the person to install programming, to fracture the mind pattern, is to make you uncomfortable. Because when you're, first you're cold, then you're hot, then you're cold, and the mind doesn't know what to expect. And after a while, it fractures. Okay, when you take a personality and you fragment it into pieces, they take one of the pieces and then they develop it into a sub-personality or a related personality, which is a little different than the core personality. And then they provide a code that triggers that personality to come forward.
Adrenochrome is a chemical compound formed by the oxidation of adrenaline in blood. It is most commonly harvested from the pineal gland of a young child. Its difficult extraction has made it a very exclusive product. As a result, it has most often been associated with the exceptionally wealthy and very powerful. Adrenochrome was mentioned and described in great detail in a movie called Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, released in 1998, which was based on a book written by Hunter S. Thompson, originally published in 1971.
As your attorney, I advise you to take a hit out of the little brown bottle in my shaving kit. You won't need much. Just a tiny taste. What is it? That stuff makes pure mescaline seem like ginger beer, man. Adrenochrome.
Adrenochrome?
Anyway, the last thing in the world you want to do is go to this hotel again. They'll trace the call and put you straight behind bars. No, I'm moving to the Tropicana right away. I'll let you know what it is, and I gotta get off. Oh, you have this phone tap, baby. Yeah, I know, it was horrible, but it's all over now. Oh my God, there's someone at the door. Where'd you get this? Never mind, it's absolutely pure. What kind of monster clown have you hooked up with this time? Satanism freak.
I think there's only one source for this stuff. The adrenaline gland from a living human body.
I know. The guy didn't have any cash to pay me. He offered me human blood, said it would take me higher than I'd ever been in my life. Thought he was kidding. So I told him I'd just as soon have an ounce or so of pure adrenochrome. Or maybe just a fresh adrenaline gland to chew on.
I could already feel the stuff working on me. The first wave felt like a combination of mescaline and methadone. Maybe I should take a swim, I thought.
Yes, sir. They nailed this guy for child molester. He swore he didn't do it. Why should I with children, he said. They're too small. Christ, what could I say? Even a damn werewolf is entitled to legal counsel. Didn't dare to turn a creep down. Might have picked up a letter opener and gone after my pretty old man. You know?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Why not?
He claims the substance was made up and didn't actually exist.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
Since the beginning of time, blood has been connected to youth, vitality, and immortality. The blood of children and virgins in particular have been believed to contain life-giving properties. Adrenochrome, in layman's terms, is required by its very nature to be harvested by human torture and/or sacrifice. The substance itself is derived from the adrenaline released into the bloodstream in times of great duress or danger. It's no secret that the elite have always been obsessed with the concept of eternal youth. Along with the alleged rituals and strange gatherings they have, which have most commonly been considered satanic, secret societies involved in the occult, and the rituals they partake in, are worlds apart from bloodletting a carcass you intend to consume. The concept of ritual and sacrifice among the elite is one in its own. Some may call them the Illuminati, but in general it's likely more isolated than that, and not belonging to one greater group. The occult has existed for thousands of years. It can be light or dark, and can be practiced solo or within a group. Each person has their own varying degrees of moral standards and beliefs, same as any person would in any other church or religious sect. Have you ever seen the movie The Craft? If not, spoiler alert, with great power comes greater good and greater evil. The same could be said about wealth, fame, and/or power. What most people in general have in common is the interest in the fountain of youth. Otherwise, the term midlife crisis wouldn't exist. Even people without a lot of money will spend theirs on creams, ointments, and other skincare regimens to maintain their youthfulness. That's what brings these individuals together. And in some cases, along with spending a lot of money, they're willing to make great sacrifices to chase a pure high, youthfulness, and/or the feeling of power. Pedophilia and MK Ultra are only the tip of the iceberg for what's really going on behind the scenes. Some of these elite aren't even that discreet with their interest in acquiring the blood of the young. Peter Thiel, the co-founder of PayPal and billionaire investor, has openly shown interest in normalizing the humane organization of child blood donors, and in turn selling their blood to rich people, hoping to escape the inevitability of death with young blood transfusions.
The big theme that I think we could be spending more on is solving the question of aging. Can we treat aging itself like a disease that can be slowed or possibly reversed? And I think we've not even scratched the surface in asking questions about it, because it's very underexplored. What causes people to age? Why does it happen? What could you do about it? And so I think that's a very promising thing to look at.
That, of course, is the lighter side of the elite obsession with youth. The darker side requires the torture and/or sacrifice of young children. Psychosis and derealization, with the addition of euphoria, are some of the key ingredients in creating an MK mind control victim. The use of adrenochrome can create the perfect mind state without the need for trauma, hypnosis, or torture. In past videos, I've chosen to evade the much darker topics such as MKUltra and elite pedophile rings, for the simple fact that it's all very complex in its interconnectivity. Remember all those migrant children that went missing, apparently lost within the border control system? Most of them not able to speak English, let alone being old enough to speak their own language. Chuck E. Cheese has it all figured out, but the American government doesn't? Where did all those children go? Why were they mostly girls? You do the math. There are varying degrees of evil within the entertainment industry, the government, as well as major corporations. And we really only get to see what's on the surface. When it comes to people in the public eye, it's really easy to write someone off as crazy, or throw around terms like MK mind control. But each individual experience is different. Everyone has a different perspective, and what might seem innocent, like using a quote from The Wizard of Oz, could be sinister, and someone having a complete mental breakdown could just be as a result of life and career stress.
Upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me.
Some people are conditioned to be more vulnerable, impressionable, and weak, whereas others are quite the opposite. Some people are slaves to themselves in addiction, anger mismanagement, and mental illness, while some are slaves to the industry, one way or another. But at the end of the day, they are all just people. We were all kids once upon a time, at the mercy of our caretakers and the environment we grew up in.
Serving Christ.
I'm not here for anyone's entertainment.
Jake from 2.5 Men means nothing. Put God first. I love God, that's my thing.
Like Jesus said, I come to the door and knock.
In the mighty name of Jesus, I thank you.
He was arrested in December or late November, and then he got out in June. 6 months.
I mean, 6 months is a joke. It's a joke for what happened.
I remember you asked me if I ever did anything with the guy before.
Yeah, a long time ago.
And that's when you... Oh wait, that's when you gave me my first blowjob, right?
You're not recording this, right?
No, I'm not.
He just showed me porn, and he told me, oh, these are clients having sex with their managers. These 60-year-old men having sex with 14-year-old clients. He just told me this is normal, like this goes on all the time. This is what you have to do. Everybody does this, everybody who manages children. And he would tell me that constantly, oh no, you like it.
I never would have done anything with you if you hadn't expressed anything. That situation that happened at Penn State. Those kids didn't want it.
Yeah, but I didn't at 12. I was not interested. I remember that night you did pull out your penis in the car and I was scared because you asked me if I wanted to touch it. If I didn't do it, I wouldn't go further in the music career, or like I thought everyone did it.
I was like, I don't like music anymore. I don't want to do anything with the industry, nothing.
He would tell me like everyone did it and that it's normal and natural.
I'm sure I said that. I mean, you know, it is a natural function.
It's Hollywood. People do what they want in Hollywood. And if you're a big enough star or a big enough director or you're making enough money for these people, you can do whatever you want.
The only white people that thank Jesus are Republicans and ex-crackheads.
Jesus can my as well.
A lot of people come up here and they thank Jesus for this award. I want you to know that no one had less to do with this award than Jesus. So all I can say is, "Get Jesus, this award is my God now!"
Whatever we once were, we are no longer a Christian nation. And even if we did have only Christians, if we expelled every non-Christian, whose Christianity would we teach in the schools?
Clap for that, you stupid.
Thank the devil.
Thank you to Satan for giving me inspiration.
I never thought that we could say that, but thank you, God, thank you, Jesus. We are here because of you. If we're not enjoying that, say something now. All right, we're keeping doing that.
I can tell you that the number one problem in Hollywood was and is and always will be pedophilia.
Do you like teenage girls? When you say teenage, how are we talking?
They're some of the richest, most powerful people in this business. I was surrounded by them.
Blew me away what I saw. You hear me? It was some of the most horrific situation. I couldn't believe it, you know.
And this was at a party you were invited to, correct?
Yeah, let me break to you how it really went down, right? So I'm gonna mention this name. My guy, he was from the Bay Area. He was in this group called Something for the People, and the group was called Something for the People, and his name was Fuzzy. And so by this time we had put out. I got the hookup. And we all just bought houses in Sherman Oaks. And we were just living the life, you know. I was in my brand new Mercedes, and, you know, I had this Rolex. I had hundreds of thousands of dollars in my bank, you know. Shout out to Master Pete, No Limit. I mean, because we was just living this beautiful life, right? Every day was a holiday. And so I'm rolling down Melrose, and I see Fuzzy. And he was like, "Reek, oh my God, bro, like you're doing really well. You know, Pete, and they put y'all on and y'all blowing up. That pushing aside you was doing it." I was like, "Thank you, man. Thank you." He said, "Yo, bro, like, would you like to come to a party tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, there's going to be girls there." Because, you know, I was just new to L.A. and I've been here, you know, like it might be, you know, a sausage party or something. And I wasn't trying to entertain. You know, no disrespect to those who do that, but I wasn't trying to go to that kind of party, especially back then. I was still a little rough around the edges, be it that I was from Richmond, California. And so he was like, no, man, it's gonna be women, it's gonna be nice, whatever. So by this time, this very prominent guy came out of the store, and Fuzzy was with him, and he was like, "Oh, Reek, this is Blase Blah, and this is Rico from No Limit, Sons of Funk." He was like, "Oh man, I know who you are. Like, I love your music, bruh. Like, you need to come to the party tonight." And now why they chose me, I don't know, man. Maybe they saw, you know, like I was a kind of an industry guy as well, because I'm articulate. I went to college as well, but again, I still had this rough edge around me or whatever. So they what I found out later, they call it grooming. So they was grooming me for this ritual, being indoctrinated into their little clique, you know. Because if I had joined the clique, trust me, I'd have been Will Smith by now. You know what I mean? So, and this guy, he's in a multicultural group, and that's about all I'm gonna say. And if y'all can figure it out from there, you got it. So, they said, man, we're gonna have a limo come get you. So I told them where to come get me. I said, well, y'all just had a limo meet me at the Ralph's over in Sherman Oaks. So it came, got me. It took me.
Because Illuminati exists, period. But in hip hop, we've yet to see.
So outside of it, you feel it exists?
Outside of hip hop, of course, look, there is an Illuminati. But now, these are supposed to be old, rich, white guys, you know, that, you know, they was the investors of the pyramids, you know what I'm saying? Like, they was the dudes who paid Albuquerque and these guys, you know what I'm saying, to build the jump walls. But does it exist in hip-hop? Would they even let people like us in there? Or is there a hip-hop Illuminati? We don't know. And I'm just as curious as you guys, you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes I'll be feeling like I'm down with the Illuminati, and then sometimes I'm like, them niggas ain't for me. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying? I don't know, man, but it's a level of success where it's a door. It's a door. When you platinum and you getting 50,000 a show, I've been there. There's a door that you could walk in. I'm not sure if it's homo or if it's Illuminati. I just didn't take that though. I went straight.
What do you mean?
Listen. When you get to a level of success, when you getting 30, 40, 50,000 a show, you platinum, you running across the world. There's 3 different doors, right? There's 3 different ways to walk. There's to the left, there's to the right, and then there's straight. Straight is you're on your own. Let's see if you continue this success, young man.
Okay.
Let's see if it's all about your skills, young man. Let's really see that.
Okay.
And you went straight. To the right, I'm not sure if that's the homo. And then there's to the left, I'm not sure if there's some sacrifice going on right there. I'm not sure because I went straight. But I was offered these doors.
It's just you were offered some game.
I don't, no. I'm saying that to the right when I seen it, those was those guys over there. You know what I'm saying? Those different people, which I have no problem with. You know, that's y'all. You feel me? And I just chose to go straight, and I haven't been platinum since.
Over there, like a different part of LA, downtown, that I had never been. I didn't even know this part existed yet. And then, so they did this, believe it or not, some out of the movies, man, they did this secret knock. And like the eagle landed at 12 knock, you know, and the door opened. And when I walked in, it was Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, it was sex, it was drugs, it was gambling, it was men with men, women with women. It was a multitude of the same going at each other. It was orgies. It was whatever you can imagine.